Let me tell y'all about Cabin 13, the real cabin in the woods. Truth never fails to be stranger than fiction, and the stillness of one April night was shattered in Fayette County, West Virginia, when the deputies received a 911 call from Minister James Flippo from a payphone near the Babcock State Park. Mr. Flippo goes on to describe an attack on his wife at a secluded cabin, Cabin 13, that they had rented for a romantic weekend getaway. Now, Mr. Flippo says that they had a quiet night in. They ate some ice cream and went to bed. Shortly thereafter, a masked intruder burst in and began to attack both of them. Mr. Flippo said that he was soon knocked unconscious, that he's unaware really of what went on in the cabin because he was knocked unconscious pretty quickly. He did regain consciousness briefly, only to see that his legs were being attacked, and then he was knocked unconscious again. Well, that's Mr. Flippo's version of events, and as he stood there in his underwear, it was clear that he had been attacked on his legs, but it wasn't long before his story started to unravel. Now, the first thing that detectives noticed was it was a rainy night that night. There was a fresh rain, and of course, it was easy to see footprints. The detective noted that his footprints were visible, and he saw Mr. Flippo's footprints, but that's the only footprints that he saw coming or going from the cabin. Mr. Flippo said that his green Cadillac that he and his wife arrived in was stolen, but there was a red Camaro on the scene that he couldn't account for. Well, here's the thing, just literally 2 days prior to he and his wife checking into this cabin, Mr. Flippo and a Mr. Bogus had been to this same stream at this same state park for a baptism. As a matter of fact, it was the day he was there for a baptism that he called to book the cabin for he and his wife. Well, it gets a lot deeper than that because as they were investigating, there was a locked briefcase among the items on the scene. They unlocked it, and there were some compromising photos. Now, after the fact, Mr. Flippo and Mr. Bogus claimed that they were both in a heterosexual relationship, but it was evidence enough to the court that this impacted Mr. Flippo's marital relationship with Cheryl. It factored in, and they allowed it as evidence, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, where this evidence was allowed to stand. So anyway, there were some compromising photos of he and a Mr. Bogus in his briefcase, and probably the last nail in Mr. Flippo's coffin was that he had taken out a $100,000 life insurance policy on Cheryl just the month prior. The ink probably wasn't even dry on the life insurance policy yet, and Mr. Bacchus's clothes probably weren't even dry from the baptism when this occurred. Now, Mr. Flippo did get arrested. He is doing life with no mercy, so he's never going to see the light of day again. But ever since, you see, Cabin 13 is still available for rent. And for a while, they even advertised it as, would you dare stay in Cabin 13? Now, they changed that, I think, mostly out of reverence for the surviving members of Mrs. Flippo's family, But there's been all kinds of activity. There's been team after team of investigators go through there, and they always come back with some compelling evidence. But some of the most common and the most compelling evidence that happens at Cabin 13 is misty like unexplained mist and sometimes full body apparitions. Like sometimes they'll see Cheryl in her robe, but there'll be screams in the surrounding woods, cries and screams from the woods. But in the cabin itself, there's been reports of a lady crying. A lady crying inside the cabin, objects moving, the lights flickering, the whole 9 yards. So, cabin 13, the real haunted cabin in the woods, Babcock State Park in West Virginia. You can book it now if you want to, but I'm not checking in. Y'all, that's been Jay's Haunted Appalachia for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the story of Cabin 13. Keep sending me those stories and suggestions. Keep Appalachia haunted, y'all.